Cayo Perico Heist is, in most people's opinion, the best money-making method in GTA Online. There is so much potential to earn millions of dollars if you go about it the correct way. Therefore, in this video I will be going through how to do the Cayo Perico Heist solo, as well as how to get the most loot and become a millionaire in GTA Online. But before we get into the video, if you want to see more of me and this kind of content, this being tutorials, guides and tips and tricks videos on GTA Online, then I would suggest checking out the rest of my channel, where I have lots of guides on different businesses in the game. Anyway, let's get back into the video. Note, this video will not include the very beginning of how to start the Cayo Perico Heist. However, I will have another separate video about that next week. So yeah, I just didn't want to put it into this video, since this video will then get extremely long, as well as when you do the heist for the first time, it is a bit different in multiple areas than when you do it for a second time, third time, fourth time, and so on. I will try and have that video up as fast as possible. Most likely it will be next Saturday from when this video is released. I will go from that point of view that you already have the Kosatka/submarine and that everything is all set up. Again, I will have that video soon out if you are wondering how to get the Kosatka, etc. So don't worry. Anyway, to begin doing the Cayo Perico Heist, the first mission we need to do is the Gather Intel mission. In this mission, we are going to go to Cayo Perico and we're going to search the island for different loot and also what the main target we are going to rob is. So to start this mission, you need to get on the Kosatka/submarine screen and there click the Start Gather Intel mission. Then you want to move over here, because here you can fast travel with the Kosatka to where the Gather Intel plane is. Then when you have fast traveled with the Kosatka to the closest location to where you need to go is, then take the Sparrow over to the plane. If you don't have the Sparrow, I recommend to get that as soon as you have the money for it. It's a solid vehicle that will help you a lot when doing the Cayo Perico Heist multiple times. So definitely after you've done your first Cayo Perico, buy the Sparrow because it will be to huge help. Next, you just want to kill the enemies, buy the plane, take the plane and start flying towards the bottom of the map down by the city. This is where a yellow marker or checkpoint will pop up showing you where you need to go. When you've taken this long flight down to the yellow marker, you will then get a short cutscene where you will arrive at Cayo Perico. First thing you want to do when you've spawned in is turn around and check the hangar behind you for secondary loot. If you didn't already know, there's two types of loots on Cayo Perico: your main target or your main loot and secondary loot. With some luck on our hands, we want to find 2 stacks of cocoa. I can't say the actual word, but you get what I mean, since that will earn us the most money possible with the secondary loot. Excluding gold, since you can't get that legitimately when playing solo, but gold is over cocoa in profits, so yeah. And also the reason we only need 2 stacks of it is because 2 stacks of cocoa will fill our loot bag completely up. And don't worry about the main target. You have a separate compartment in your loot bag just for the main target, so yeah, don't worry about filling your loot bag completely up. If you do find some cocoa here in any of these spots, make sure to take a picture of it and send the picture to Pavel. He will then save this location on the map, so when you actually start the heist later, you can easily find out where the cocoa is and where you need to go. If you don't find any cocoa in the hangar building, then make your way over to this little garage/shack thing and check here too. After you've checked both of these loot spots, run over to this bike and start driving. Explaining exactly where I am driving is a little difficult, so instead I will have my editor just speed up this clip a bit so you can still see the route I'm driving. Just follow exactly where I drive. When we eventually get over to the North Dock, you want to check 2 locations. Another little shack and the other is more of a building. As you can see by my footage, I was so unlucky that I got cocoa in neither. This is pretty rare in my opinion. By my experience, you usually will get at least 1 cocoa stack after you've checked the whole airport and North Dock. Oh well, we still have some location to scout before we're done. Once again, this clip is sped up so you can see what route I'm taking. Basically, I'm just driving on the edge of the map and avoiding all cones of vision. I drive through the little gate door and then make my way over to the radio tower. At the radio tower, you want to look for the signal box. An easy way to narrow down where the box is by looking down at your minimap and seeing if there is a guard or not. In my example, there is no guard. That means the signal box is on the ground. If there's a guard right with the radio tower, that means that the signal box is up in the tower, not on the ground. When you access the signal box, you will get a little mini game hack. This is pretty easy. You just have to know that this X symbol means multiplied by 10. This one with a square and a straight line going through means multiplied by 1. And then one more that I didn't get on my run, but it means multiplied by 2. So I suggest to do the multiply by 10 first and get as close as you can to the number without going over, and then it will be easier from there just using the multiply by 2 and multiply by 1. When you're done with the hack, access your phone and open the Sightseer app in the bottom right corner. Scroll your way over to the basement. Ignore all the other cameras, you don't need to look at them since all we will find there is secondary loot that we can't access as a solo player. To access these secondary loot spots inside the compound, you will need to be 2 players, and as we are only 1, we can't do that. Look at what you got in the basement, and when you've seen what the main target is, then exit the Sightseer app. After this, climb to the top of the radio tower if you aren't already there. Even if your signal box was on the ground, you still need to go to the top of the tower. And the reason for this is that we want to jump off the tower and parachute down to the exact location I'm showing here. This is the main dock, and here we want to look for even more secondary loot. As I said previously, we preferably want 2 stacks of cocoa. If you don't find them here, then that's tough luck. I'll have a chart on screen now on what other secondary loot you should then pick if you didn't get any of the sweet cocoa. After you've checked these 2 last locations, just run over to one of the guards or one of the cameras and just walk in front of their sight of vision. You will then get caught. This is a quick way to get back to the airport so you can leave the island. Now just jump in the plane you came with, and it will play a few short cutscenes and automatically put you back in Los Santos. Now you have fully completed the Gather Intel mission. Now get back to your submarine, and before we start doing any other setup mission, we need to beach the sub. I know that sounds extremely weird, but just trust me on this one. Get in the driver's seat and then drive it up on Vespucci Beach like I do here. Not all the way up, just so the Kosatka sits comfortably and won't go back into the water. Trust me, we will get back to this later. When you're done beaching the sub, we can now go on to approach vehicle. There are multiple approach vehicles you can choose, but the one we are going to choose is the Longfin. When you start up the mission, it will prompt you to go to one of a few police stations in the city. Make your way over there by any means of transport, and when you get there, you will need to steal a boat, or as it's called, the Longfin, and preferably you do want to use your own Phantom Wedge truck to pull the boat, since it's much faster and the ramp on the front of it is really helpful. But if you do not have the Phantom Wedge, which I could understand since you probably don't have too much money, then Pavel, the guy that manages your submarine, sources some trucks for you that you can use for the mission. Just use one of those, it works fine. When you've backed your truck into the police compound and stolen the boat, instantly just drive a bit away so you are kinda safe, and then place your marker right here on the docks and make your way over there. This is actually the exact location where we need to go every time in this mission, so you can instantly just go there and just ignore the cops. When you get there, step out of the truck, go a bit away, and then blow yourself up. You will then lose the cops and you can just run over to the truck again, move your stick a little bit, and then you will be in the yellow marker as I'm showing on screen. When it registers that you're there, you have successfully finished the approach vehicle setup. Now that we're done with that, call back your Phantom Wedge and then spawn your Oppressor Mark II if you have it. I know as a beginner you probably don't have it. If so, you can use the Sparrow or a Buzzard for the rest of this guide. Those work as well. But using the Oppressor Mark II is just the most effective way of doing the preps to the heist, so you will save a bit of time if you have a Mark II. Anyway, spawn your Mark II and make your way over to the Kosatka that you just beached. The reason we beached it was so we can actually land the Mark II on the front right here. If the sub was in the water, the Mark II would just fall off and get destroyed. When it is beached, it is much more steady for you to land the Mark II on. Make sure you land your Mark II safely though, since it can easily fall off if you park it too much to the side. Now that we're done with all that, we can start doing the equipment setups. And before choosing any of these, just ignore demolition charges. We don't need these in any scenario. And also, if we did use them, we couldn't do the heist stealthy since the guards on Cayo Perico would hear the explosions from the demolition charges. So do not bother doing this prep unless you want to fail your Cayo Perico heist. The first prep you want to do is the plasma cutter. Start up the prep, go outside, get on your Mark II or your Sparrow, and then fly to the checkpoint on your map. When you get to this safe house, just walk in and instantly pull out your camera. You don't have to move anywhere, take a picture of the room as you're standing by the door and send it to Pavel. Then just walk out the door again. You've already done what you needed in there. Pavel will then start talking lots of stuff, but after he's done, he will give you another location to go to. Here you need to find some thieves that are stealing something themselves. You want to steal the plasma cutter from the thieves. Either shoot them or blow them and then quickly get the plasma cutter and get out of there, since it will start spawning enemies almost instantly. And these enemies have deadly aimbot, so yeah, get out of there. When you get the plasma cutter, it should not be too far back to your sub, since it's on the beach and not far out in the water. Next prep is the fingerprint cloner. This prep is very similar to the last one. Firstly, just get yourself over to the warehouse Pavel is telling you about. When you get there, ignore the cameras, just walk in with an assault shotgun or any other gun. The assault shotgun just works very well. And then you will have 4 guards to eliminate in the building. Pavel will again start talking about a lot of stuff, but when he's done, make your way over to the computer where you will need to do a little mini game hack again. However, this one is different from the last one. All you have to do here is line up the red letters into that blue horizontal box that is in the middle. The green vertical box is what row you have selected. When you have done the hack, make your way out of the warehouse and start flying to the next location. With these cameras, you may as well take them out, or else enemies will go after you. It doesn't matter too much since you just fly away anyway, but if you're using something like the buzzard that takes a bit more time to get going because the engine needs to start up, you might as well just not get those enemies after you. When you get inside the room, just run to the end of it. The fingerprint cloner will always be somewhere over there. It is extremely small, so just walk around the desks there until you automatically pick it up. After this, you're done with the mission. Just get over to the submarine again and we will do the last equipment prep. The last equipment prep, and probably the easiest one, is the cutting torch. For the cutting torch, you can get a few different locations. However, on all of them, you just do the same thing. So if you get another location than me, just follow the stake. Then just follow the steps I take, but at your location. When you get to the construction site, try and look for a yellow hard hat. You can actually pick this up and use it as a disguise, and the guards will not care about you unless you stay in their line of sight for too long. If you have the yellow hard hat on, you can just run in and start looking for the cutting torch. There will be a few different toolboxes where it can be, but it should not take too long to find it. If you get detected like I did here, no worries. You will just get the enemies at the site after you and also some enemy vehicles, but you can just fly away and they won't be able to chase you. When we get to the Kasatka, then you have now completed all the equipment preps that we need. Only thing left is the weapons. With the weapon loadout mission, we can choose between some different weapons depending on what we want to use in the finale. I recommend to either go with the aggressor or the conspirator. In this heist, I went with the aggressor. I also got really lucky since I got the good weapon loadout mission first time. The bad weapon loadout mission is the Merryweather one. If you start the mission and it says something like go to the Merryweather hangar, then I would suggest to just blow up the helicopter that's there and then try and do the mission again to get the good mission. Try this at least 3 times. If you don't get the good mission I'm showing here after 3 times, then just do the Merryweather one. It just takes a bit longer. Anyway, when you get to the building, go into it from the roof. This is much easier since when you're going to exit the building later, you won't have a million enemies on the ground shooting you. you will only have some helicopters. When you get inside, there's a way where you can go completely stealthy. As I am absolutely horrendous at this game, I did get alerted. But if you follow the route I was taking and you take the enemies out faster than I did, you should go undetected. If you get detected though, just murk out everyone in the building as I am here, because the outcome after when you leave the building will be exactly the same. When the coast is clear, you want to make your way to this computer and wall right here. On this wall, there's actually a hidden gun locker, so go over to it and press right on the D-pad. You won't be able to open it though, since it is locked. To unlock it, you will have to hack the laptop that is sitting on the desk just beside you. Here you will have another minigame hack, and with this one, you basically want to line up numbers at the top with the same numbers below. So my tip here is to just look for the first number. As mine was 33, I just looked all over the screen for 33, and when I found it, I just lined it up and selected it. Sometimes it will be correct and sometimes it will be wrong. If it is wrong, then try again to find somewhere else that has that same first number. If you successfully do the hack, go back to the locker and open it. It should now be open. Collect the guns and get out of there. Also, when you get to the elevator, make sure to choose exit to the roof and not exit to the ground floor. I have done that mistake so many times and you will get absolutely blasted if you go down to ground floor. If you went completely silent or not, you will still have some enemy choppers after you. You can easily just fly away from these quickly though, but do not hang around for too long, since these choppers literally have aimbot on you. So get the hell out of there. When you get to the Kasatka again, then we are done with all the preps we need to do. And we are ready to move on to the finale, aka where we rob El Rubio for the 1 billionth time. When you go over to the finale screen, just ignore everything on this page, just click start. Of course, since we're doing this solo, you don't need to invite anyone, so just click play. Now before we get on to the actual heist, let's talk about some heist settings. On this screen right here is the actual part where you have to choose where you want to infiltrate the island, where to escape, even though that is not important since we're not going to use the escape point anyway, and also a few other things you need to decide. So basically just pick exactly the same as me on the screen. You should have the same options as me if you follow this whole guide. You pick the long fin as approach vehicle. Your infiltration point will differ depending on where you found your Coco. As I found my only one at the North Dock, I'm going to infiltrate it there. Compound entry point should always be the drainage tunnel for every heist you do. As I said, escape point doesn't matter at all. We can escape however we'd like, no restrictions. I just pick main dock out of habit, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Time of day, I recommend to put it to day. It's just easier to see things then, and it doesn't affect anything stealth wise. Also, remember to put suppressors on your weapons. This can be disabled a lot of the time, so make sure this box right here goes red where it says suppressors. We don't need any support crew, so just skip over that. Clothing as well doesn't matter, just choose exactly what you'd like. Now, when you load in, you will be in the long fin that we stole. Before we go to the compound to get the main target, we actually want to find the secondary loot first. This becomes very easy now since the long fin is so fast and mobile, so we can get all around the map in literally seconds. When you're done taking your secondary loot one place, but your loot bag isn't full yet, you can just go over to one of the other locations on the map and get some more. For example, when I did my heist, I only got one cocoa stack, which is quite unfortunate. So I had to find something else to take. I found some money stacks, but I knew from that chart earlier that 2 money stacks would not give me as much as if I took 2 stacks. So I went back to the long fin and made my way up to the airport, where I knew there was more secondary loot. And right I was. At the airport I found 2 stacks of the green stuff. That filled up my loot bag, and we're now done with the secondary loot. We don't have to think about that anymore. Now it is all about the main target. Make your way back to the long fin again, and then if you have full loot bag such as me, go down to the compound where we're going to find the main target. You want to make your way to the back of the compound where there will be a sewage tunnel that you will use to easily get in. Don't mind the yellow marker telling you to go to the front, As I said earlier, you don't really have to follow anything they say in the heist. You can do whatever infiltration you want if you have the right equipment for it. Swim down to the grate and then cut it open with the cutting torch we gathered earlier. When you enter this way, you will get a little cutscene and then be put inside the compound. Instantly when you spawn in, start running this route I'm taking right here. Feel free to watch this a few times to see exactly where I'm going. It is also important you do this quite quickly, since there is a guard that walks around this path, but he is very slow, so when you first spawn in, he isn't there. When you get to the main building, just murk this guy out. A lot of the time he will have some keys on him that will unlock some doors, but that is not guaranteed. Make your way to the top of the building, killing anyone that might be in your way. Silently, of course. And then enter El Rubio's office. Straight ahead, just open the secret safe on the right wall here, like I do in the video. From this, you will literally get extra money in your bag by taking this. It will not fill up your secondary loot bag at all. Now, if you got the keys from that one guard earlier, do as I do in the video and go down to the ground level again. Make sure there's no guards that can see you down here. And go through this gate door down here to get to the basement where the main target is. However, if you didn't get the keys from any of the guards that we marked out, you will have to go through the elevator in El Rubio's office to get to the basement. The process is almost exactly the same though. Only difference is that you will get one more fingerprint hack to do in his office compared to down here in the basement. Now talking about the fingerprint hack. This is the last minigame hack you will have to learn. And to be honest, it is quite simple. All you have to do is match up the left fingerprint with the right fingerprint. So start from the top and then move your way downwards. When you get the correct combination, it will automatically finish the hack for you. Also, you may have more hacks than me when doing this. And if you do, that means you are on hard mode. Nothing to be scared about. Being on hard mode will get you 10% extra money, and almost the only difference here from normal mode is an extra hack. Anyway, when you've done the hack, the door or elevator should open up and you will get access to the underground vault. Get over to your target and start using the plasma cutter to get in. Try and not overheat it. If you got the bearer bonds as your main target, then instead of using the plasma cutter, you will have to put in a code you got sent by Pavel. This code you need to put into the safe that is in the same room. When you've collected it, then we are all ready to leave the island. Since we got all our secondary loot first and now the main target, we have nothing else we need to take, so yeah, we can just escape Cayo Perico already. Again, if you got the keys from one of the guards we killed earlier, then just run out the way I'm running, but if not, then you will have to go up into El Rubio's office again and then down the stairs to ground floor. Easiest way to get out now is actually through the main entrance, since the way we got in is no longer accessible. If you'd like, you can mark out these two guards patrolling the main entrance, but if you time it correct, you can just walk up to the gate and then press right on the D-pad instantly without getting seen. You will be put into another short cutscene where your character will be extremely stupid every time he does this heist, but after a bit he figures out how to open the gates. When you spawn outside, run up to this guard right here besides this bike. Take him out and steal his bike. So now turn 180 degrees around and start driving towards the water. Drive in this path I'm taking out to the water. Just don't drive into a bush like I did. Now bounce off the edge and land in the water. You may think I'm crazy that our escape route will be us swimming away, but luckily we don't have to swim that far for us to escape. Just swim over to these 3 mines right here that is shaped like a triangle, and swim to about the middle of these. It should now register that you have escaped, and then the text on the bottom of your screen should then disappear. If it does this, that means it has registered that you have escaped the island. Wait for a few seconds and then you should be put into a black screen. If all this happens and you have done everything right, then congratulations, you have completed the Cayo Perico heist. With this method, you should also get the elite challenge every time, so that's an extra 50 to 100 grand, depending on if you are on hard mode or not. In total for this heist, I got 1.4 million, which is pretty good considering I got the second worst main target and also only 1 cocoa stack. When you're done with the cutscene, you will be put into free roam again. Now you are completely done with the heist. But there is a few more things you want to think about for your next heist. After the heist, you will have a 4 in-game day cooldown, or actually 3 hours and 12 minutes before you can set up another Cayo Perico heist. This is a massive difference to what it was before, when the cooldown was about only 10 minutes before the nerf when the Criminal Enterprises DLC released. The way to get hard mode on your heist is by waiting those 3 hours and 12 minutes, you don't have to be on the game, and then Pavel will send you a message about it being ready to set up again. From when you get that message, you will have exactly 48 minutes to pay the startup fee to get hard mode. You don't have to do any setups or anything, you just have to pay for the startup fee and then the heist will be on hard mode. If you wait past those 48 minutes, you will get the heist as normal. But I do recommend to get it on hard mode, since there is basically no difference and you get an extra 10% money boost from it. Well, there you have it. That is the entire Cayo Perico heist explained, from gathering intel to actually robbing the island. Hopefully I went over most things that are important to know. If you have any questions about something in this video, feel free to ask in the comments. Either me or someone else could help you. Also, I would like to know what you guys think about the Cayo Perico nerf that came with the Criminal Enterprises DLC. Let me know in the comments and we can discuss. This is also by far my biggest project to date, so I really hope you enjoyed the guide, and if so, go downstairs and throw that like button into the wall so it turns blue. And of course, do not forget to subscribe. That's all for today. I'll see you next week, lads. Farewell.